Hello and welcome to another Unity training video brought to you by 3D Buzz. My name is Zach Parrish.
My name is Lee Renault.
And we will be your hosts over the next several videos while we continue to work on our third-person character system that was actually started in the previous series of videos. So this is kind of like our second iteration of the process. Hopefully you already watched the basic version where we created a third-person character system that allowed us to move a character around laterally, forward, backward, left, and right, as well as orbit a camera around, use that camera as a means to rotate our character. So wherever we rotate the camera, if we press forward, that's the direction that the character is going to go. But really, that was it. Now, at the end of that series, we gave you a video where we showed some of the inherent flaws in a system that basic. We didn't even have gravity, so we surely couldn't jump. We had no way to calculate camera collision, camera occlusion. We had all kinds of little issues because the system was extremely basic. And the goal here is to take what we developed in that initial series of videos and enhance it. And some of the ways in which we're going to enhance it is we are going to add gravity. We're going to give the character the ability to fight gravity and jump up into the air. We're going to add a simple sliding system to allow the character to slide down slopes that are too steep for him to be climbing on or to be walking around on. We're also going to get into some more interesting and advanced topics. In fact, the entire latter portion of this series will be all about dealing with the camera in more interesting ways. Because previously, as I mentioned, our camera didn't have any special handling for what happens when the character becomes occluded. When we get, say, one of these columns in the background between the character and the camera, it would just look like the character was hiding behind the column.
Right.
And you don't want to lose sight of your character. Also, what happens if we were to try to push the camera through the floor or through a wall? Earlier, in our previous version, the camera would just pass right through as if it were a ghost.
Right. Didn't work quite so well.
It didn't work quite so well, and so we're going to take a look at how we can fix that. And that's going to be a pretty involved process in and of itself. But I'm assuming, or at least I'm going to have to assume, that you at least watched that final video of our previous series showing you kind of where we left off and all of those flaws. So Lee, if you don't mind, take a minute and show them the end result of where they're going to be at the end of this series of videos.
All right. The second set's goal is to get you to this point. We still have our same character.
He's awesome.
He's just got a little bit more superpowers, if you will, now. Literally.
He does. Oh, yeah. See, right there, we've got some of the new features. He's got the ability to jump and fall down.
Yep.
Now, previously, we had that ramp out there in the distance, and when we walked our character up the ramp at the end of the previous set of videos and then over the ledge, he would just stay up in the air because there was no force pulling him down. Obviously, now that's been fixed.
So he can now fall. He does work with gravity. We have the ability to jump. We have a very crude sliding system in place, so we can walk up certain ramps and slide down others.
It's just a basic slide, something to get us started.
Right. Nothing fancy, just to do it. We saved all of our advanced math for a very special reason. We didn't want to, fry all your little brains to start with.
Aww.
Well, I fried my brain trying to figure this out. Well, as we mentioned before, we could pass the camera through the floor. We can't do that anymore.
We used to be able to. At the end of the previous version, we could pass the camera down through the floor, and it would look like the character was hovering. Now, again, just do that one more time for everybody to see. You see we're colliding with the floor. And what happens if we try to collide with a wall?
Well, if we bring our guy, line him up with a wall, hit a wall, we can't hit a wall either.
That's right.
We even have the ability to fine-tune this. So if I come down here and modify this number here, when we hit a wall, we'll respond much slower. So our camera won't snap in quite as much. So we have the ability to prevent occlusion with that. We've also set up a system where if we pull our camera back and we park our character over here and then we move, so we can't get obstacles in the way. That makes it really fun when we start running in over here.
Oh yeah, this is the best way to show it off.
So if I go and so now I can move my camera.
The ceiling doesn't get in our way.
Right.
About all these columns.
I can run through all the columns. As you can see, pulling back out is a little bit rough, so I can go ahead and slow that down.
Well, it's not. I wouldn't say it's rough. It's just a little fast. And that's just the way it's been designed.
So we can fix our camera based on our occlusion with our columns, our ceilings, our walls, our floors, anything in the scene. We can avoid now.
Yeah, essentially, we're preventing occlusion. We're keeping occlusion from happening. As soon as our system determines that we are about to be occluded, the camera's going to zoom in and make sure that that occlusion never really happens. And as I mentioned, that's something we're going to spend the latter portion of these videos demonstrating and really breaking down what's going on under the hood in order to make that happen. It's actually a pretty cool system that Lee has come up with to make that possible. Now, again, as I mentioned, this is the second iteration of our third-person character system, with the first being the very basic one that we sealed off in the last series. Now, over the course of the next few videos, you're going to create what we've demonstrated here. We're going to start off by taking you through adding in gravity and jumping. Then we'll take a look at sliding. And then we're going to add in a brand new class called the TP Animator class. And his whole job is just going to be to keep track of the state of our current motion. Are we moving forward? Are we moving backward? Are we moving side to side? And that's actually something that we didn't even demonstrate here. And that is that we are not moving in all four directions at a constant rate.
Right, so if we move backwards, we're moving fairly slow.
Right, well, walking backwards is hard.
We move faster if we're running forward, and we have a different speed, again, for sideways. Our current sideways speed is kind of hard to see, so if I were to go in here to our TP motor, look at our strafing speed, and bump this up to something like 20, and then do the same thing, now we move fairly quickly.
Yeah, we just scream sideways. So a lot of different controls are going to be added in there. Once we've taken care of that, we're going to implement it in such a way where we no longer have a move speed field. Instead, we're going to have this collection of fields because we won't really have a quote-unquote move speed. We're going to have a forward speed, a backward speed, a strafing speed, a slide speed. All of these different types of motions are going to have their own speed that we can associate with them at any time we choose. Once we have all of that done, then we're going to get into how we can handle the problem of camera collision and preventing camera occlusion so that we don't end up with anything in between us and our player at any given point. Now, once again, this is the second iteration. This is the enhanced version of the basic third-person character system developed previously, but this is not going to be the end of it. This is the second of 3 sets, and in the third set, we're going to take our third-person character system and push it even further by implementing a bipedal character from Maya, along with all of the associated skeletal animations and specific concerns involved with doing that. Now, again, that'll come up in the next series after you've gone through all of the stuff that we've just described here. But I just wanted to give you a tip as to what's on the horizon. And all of this is actually building up to a training course that is coming up in the future, and depending on when you're watching this video, it could already be there, that 3D Buzz is in the process of developing on how to build your own MMO game with Unity, your own massively multiplayer online game. And we're going to cover the entire process, and we're going to be leveraging things like this third-person character system and pushing it even further to handle things that we're not even discussing here and make it extremely powerful, a very robust way to deal with your characters. We're going to be covering a lot of things in that class. That is a special course that 3D Buzz is offering, only going to be available to 3D Buzz's member sponsors. It'll have very limited seating. Of course, we can only open those up to our member sponsors. And if you'd like more information about that, please be sure to jump over to 3dbuzz.com. We keep a lot of updates about that in the forums, on our radio shows, in our tweets, or if you'd just like to ask some questions about it, you can always send them my way. My name is Zach over on 3dbuzz, Z-A-K, and you can PM me at any time, or you can email me at zach@3dbuzz.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Now, with all of that said, I think we've got a pretty good idea of where we were, where we are, where we're going, the things we're going to be covering in this video. And really, I'm thinking it's just time to go ahead and get started. Lee, is there anything you want to throw in?
No, let's get started.
All right, let's just jump right into it. That's going to wrap things up for this video. Thanks for watching.